Many of the vehicles which we discuss in this series offer interesting alternatives to the accepted norms in high-performance driving or motorsport, or maybe not even in a performance way, but more so in, say, an off-roading kind of way, or an endurance kind of way, like the ZIL E167. Then, on the other hand, you get cars which don't really try to accomplish anything specific in terms of performance or records. They're just cars built to be interesting, weird, different, oddball, and fun. Something like the long-nosed Land Rover, for instance, which is certainly oddball. And this vehicle, or vehicles, because this episode is the first one so far to actually feature two cars in one. And the reason why I'm featuring two cars is because these two vehicles are so integrally linked to each other. Now, they're both SAABs, and the first one, in particular, the blue one, which you'll see in this video, my personal favourite of the two, is called the SAAB 92H, or at least it's called that by the guy who built it, because this is not an official SAAB model. In fact, neither of them are. These are both customs, the first of which, the blue one, was built in the early 60s, around 62-63, by a Swedish man by the name of Torsten Johansson, and it was based on the SAAB 92. Which of course is a much smaller car. It's not a camper van or a motorhome, but he wanted to make a camper van or a motorhome. And he really put the home in motorhome, because this thing basically looks like a caravan with headlights, which I think is awesome. It's a great looking car, I think, in a really weird kind of way. And so, being based on the SAAB 92, you're probably thinking, well, wait a second, how quick is that then? Well, not very. Not very quick at all, because the SAAB 92 has a two-stroke, twin-cylinder engine putting out 28 thundering stallions, which of course means that the car is even slower than the SAAB 92 because of the fact that it's bigger, heavier, and let's just say less aerodynamic than it originally was, seeing as this one is about as aerodynamic as a brick. However, this car was used by its owner, and was then found to be not exactly capable of carrying its own weight, which is unfortunate but not too surprising. So he did the obvious thing that you do to a motorhome that doesn't work. He parked it in a forest and left it there to use it as a cabin. And he did so for quite a while. Then he built the red version, which you can see in this video, called the 95HK, based, of course, on the SAAB 95. This one is the high-performance version. It has a 55 horsepower V4 SAAB engine. What an absolute monster this one must be. Oh, no, of course not. But in comparison to the other one, it's streets ahead. Personally, though, I do still prefer the blue car, as I said, but you can easily see why this one is the superior, technically speaking, of the two. Not that it's faster, because that isn't the be-all and end-all, but purely because it can actually move properly. It's not stupidly slow. Now, this car was later sold, and by later I mean 40 years later, in 2007, to a group of enterprising car enthusiasts who asked the owner about the other car. And then they went to find the other car, as you can see in this video, and they restored them both. And I think that's awesome, because now both of these original custom concepts, in effect, well, prototypes you could say, are back to their original glory, and in some ways even better than they originally were, because they really do look like cars that could have been produced by SAAB. They are some of the best customs you can actually find. They're spacious, they're practical, they're certainly unique, and they have the exact kind of oddball, left-field SAAB quirkiness which you would want from the brand. So you're probably wondering, what did SAAB think about this? Well, they did actually consider building them, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, though, they didn't, and that's why most people don't know about this car, or this camper, if you want to think of it that way. And that's a shame, I think, because this car wouldn't necessarily have had the sales of something like a Volkswagen Samba bus or a camper, but I think it would have been a pretty good rival for it, because one of the key things that makes the Volkswagen such a successful vehicle, and also one which is still worth so much to this day, isn't just that it's practical or good in any particular way, it's because it's got character. It's a car that people just like, and that will trump something that's just a big box any day. This car, in fact both of these cars, also have that going for them. They're cute. They have a lot of attitude, a lot of character, and a lot of style, and that, I think, would have done SAAB pretty well. It wouldn't have necessarily been the best-selling car, but who knows, maybe it could have been. Overall then, this is a vehicle which I've loved for years, ever since I first saw it. It's exactly the kind of story and the kind of cars, if you can even call them that, which I love. Not necessarily trying to be outlandishly groundbreaking in any particular way, just one guy's idea of a project car which didn't fall under the normal project car parameters. Something unique to him, which later became one of the most popular cult classic SAABs among that community. But overall, that's it for this particular pick. Something a little bit different this week with the 92H and the 95HK. And of course, if you want to check out some of the other weird and wonderful cars in this series, you can of course click through to see those at the end of this video. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.